Welcome to the third episode of the Skye and Skye podcast. We have Paris Dalton here on this special episode. She is born and raised in Derby, England. She's a fifth-year senior. She's the president for Lobos for Change and a midfielder. Paris Dalton.
Woo! Yeah, Paris.
Hi, Paris, and welcome to the Skye and Skye podcast. We're so happy to have you here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And let's start off with our first question. If you could go to dinner with any celebrity, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I'm going to go with Nelson Mandela just because I think there's so much you can learn from one conversation from him.
Yeah, I like
South
that.
Africa. Stand up. Yeah, stand up.
Skye, who would you pick?
I'd have to go Kobe Bryant. You know, the late great Kobe, RIP. That's my guy. You know, being from Los Angeles and born and raised in Inglewood, where he started his playing career with the Lakers at the Fabulous Forum. Man, like, it doesn't get any bigger than Kobe Bryant for all of us Angelinos. So I'd probably have to go Kobe because that's just my sports hero, you know? What about you, Skye?
Yeah, that's a good one. I would actually have to pick Michael Jackson. I grew up listening to him. He's probably still in my top 5 artists most stream.
Yeah.
But I feel like just being the king of pop, and I think it would be so cool to just be able to talk to him and just ask him some questions that I wouldn't be able to ask him now. But yeah. So Paris, what age did you start playing soccer, and when did you know that this was the sport you wanted to play in college?
This is actually a funny story. I started probably around 6 or 7. My older brother, he's 4 years older than me. His name's Jordan. He was obsessed with everything soccer. And so being the younger sibling, I idolized him. I just wanted to do everything he was doing. And I remember one instance where we live right next to a local park with like AstroTurf soccer courts 5-a-side. And he's going to the park, and I'm like, Mom, can I go with him? And go with him to the park. And obviously he's in the courts playing with his friends. And I'm desperate to just go to the playground and be a little kid. And he's like, sorry, I have to look after you, and I'm not going to the playground, so you're kind of stuck here. So I was stuck in these courts, and the balls are being kicked everywhere. And I'm like, ugh, this is awful. But eventually I actually started playing with my brother and playing with his friends and stuff, and loved it ever since. Just like, wow, it's actually quite fun. And through playing with him, spent hours at the park just playing, and then started playing with the boys locally on the little middle school team. And yeah, I've played ever since.
Did you ever try like any other sports besides soccer, or just did you stick with that the whole time?
I honestly just stuck with that the whole time. Like once I was
Really?
in, I was in. I played other sports in like school PE classes, like cricket or netball. But yeah, soccer stole my heart, apparently.
Did you say cricket?
Cricket. Yeah, what do you know about cricket?
Absolutely nothing. What's cricket? I've heard of cricket, but I've never like watched a match or a game, or I don't even know how to call it. Like, what is cricket?
Cricket is like the world's baseball, for lack of a better phrase. Like, it's huge internationally, and you have a bat, and it's like the field is a giant circle or oval, and there's normally 2 batters on a team, and then the other team, opposing team, has outfield players and a bowler, and the bowler has to throw the ball, normally overarm, into the batter's wicket to get them out. And then the batter, when you get 6 balls sent over, it's going to sound really confusing to say it this way. Kind of, long story short, throws six balls, and in those 6 balls, the batting team try and get as many points. If you hit it and then run between the stumps, you get 1 per run. If you hit it on the floor outside the circle, you get 4. And if you hit it in the air outside the circle, you get 6.
I might have to YouTube this.
Yeah, honestly,
Me
YouTube
too.
it.
Me too.
But it's just a sport we grew up with.
That's
Same
awesome.
with rugby, we were only allowed to play tag rugby.
Yeah.
Girls were only allowed to play tag rugby, which is slightly sexist. Boys played rugby and football, or soccer as we call it. Tennis is also a sport in PE.
Okay.
Netball was kind of the big girl sport, which is
I've never
another
heard of
international
that.
sport.
Yeah,
Yeah,
netball.
there's all these other sports. So it's crazy when I got to the US and learn about baseball and softball
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
basketball. And I was like, I know what they are, but I've never played them.
Interesting. That's really cool. What was life growing up in England? Like school, soccer, what was that like being in a different country?
It's an interesting question because to me, it's just everyday life. But when I grew up, I obviously watched all these American TV shows and American movies, and I was like, I wonder if that's what life is like in America, and I was always compared the two, especially in high school. When I was a kid, I loved High School Musical. I was obsessed with it, and I thought high school, not only in America was like High School Musical, but like the high school I was going to grow up into was also like High School Musical. I was expecting to have these giant lockers and have all these other sports you could play. And I got there and it was so much different than the movies. I was so disappointed. We had lockers, but they were like
Tiny.
They were like a foot long max. And there was a whole row of lockers from like I went to a school, secondary school, where it's 6th grade to 12th grade. So middle school and high school kind of together.
Yeah.
And so the little 6th graders would be at your feet and had their locker at the very floor. And then if you wasn't senior, you'd have your locker at the very top.
Wow.
And you'd have to try to avoid all these little kids in between to try and get to your mini locker, which had all your textbooks and stuff in.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we was in uniform the entire time from 6th grade to 12th grade. Shirt, dress shoes, trouser or skirt, blazer, tie, until senior year. So when I watched all these movies, I was like, I really wonder if high school is like that for them because it's not the same in England.
That's so interesting because my middle school was the exact same way. We had lockers and it was the 6th graders were on the bottom, the 7th graders in the middle, and then the 8th graders were on top.
That's how it was for me too in middle school.
Yeah, so we used to have to fight, going through other people's legs during the transition period and stuff like that. That's so interesting to hear you say that because I didn't think I used to hate wearing uniforms and stuff like that because that was my middle school and all through elementary school was wearing uniforms. I'm like, man, I just want to wear my own clothes, like you know what I'm saying?
We had non-uniform days where we'd raise money for charity. We'd raise money for charity, and so we had to when we walked through the door of the school, you like donated £1 or it'd be equivalent to $1, and they'd collect them all in these buckets and they'd mark your little hand with an X to symbolize that you paid for it, and then you could wear whatever clothes you wanted. But it was like kind of crazy because it would be the only time you saw everyone else in your school in like regular clothes. So people kind of judge each other for what they were wearing because it's the only time you'd ever see them. Which you'd feel really bad for the kids who forgot and were just stuck in their school uniform when everyone else wasn't.
Yeah.
We had I think it was called Dollar Jean Day, so you could wear a pair of jeans, but you still had to wear your uniform top if you went to school. And it was like one time every Friday, but I remember doing that and I was like, I do not want to wear these khaki pants to school. I was so sick of wearing those. But Sai, what was high school like for you?
Well, high school was the first, speaking of clothes, that was the first time I got to wear whatever I wanted. So, like, I didn't really know what to get. So I'm over here at, like, Burlington, and my dad's, outfitting me. Like, I looked like a 40-year-old man, like, walking in there, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm wearing, like, like, what freshman do you know is wearing, this is so hard to talk about because it's so embarrassing, but it's like, I'm wearing khaki shorts with like a Echo Rhino shirt, and it's just like, Side man, what are you like? No good shit. You know what I'm saying? Like Adidas or like the most off Nike. You know what I'm saying? Because we was at Ross and stuff. So it's just like I was just wearing all. Like this is my first time going to a school wearing whatever I wanted, and so it was just a bit of adjustment. But as I got into it, it just felt like regular old just go to school, wake up. People started showing up in pajamas and stuff like and it's just like okay, so then nobody's really caring what you're wearing and stuff. What about you, Skye?
Like Paris, I also thought at a young age that high school was gonna be like High School Musical. I thought it was gonna be like super fun. There were gonna be pink lockers. We did, however, have red lockers and they were outside and people loved to take pictures in front of those. But I never ended up using a locker. I felt like we didn't have enough time in between classes to actually stop and get your books and then head to the next class. But Yeah, and high school was cool. It was fun. I was in student council for a year, which was really fun, very involved.
We talk about High School Musical. So my school is where they shot Modern Family at. I went to Palisades. So Modern Family, all their
Oh.
episodes when they would come to the school, that's where they would shoot all their stuff. They done a whole bunch of Netflix films at my school. So my high school's really been on TV a lot of the times. And what's crazy is when I watch these shows, I'm like, my school doesn't look like that. like what are we doing here? The quad doesn't look like this. Like our main hallway, the main hallway that they always use, that's where our faculty and stuff. There's no lockers in there. That's where the principal is. Like, there's no lockers in there. So it's just funny how how they change things when it comes to TV production and movie production. Paris, let me ask you, what's your favorite thing about the U.S.? Because you talked about High School Musical, so obviously you've been getting yourself familiar over the course of your life with things about the U.S. So what's your favorite thing?
I'm a senior now, so I've been here for 4 years.
Yeah.
And the thing I've loved most about the US is just geographically how different it is throughout the United States. Like just in New Mexico, you can go to Taos and it would be green and kind of lush. And then you go down south to Cruces and there's white sands and there's palm trees. And then that's just in New Mexico. Obviously, England and the United Kingdom could fit into just New Mexico. So then to be able to travel, being on the soccer team to California, Utah, Nevada, we've been to Oregon, Washington, and just a lot of the Western United States. And so I've got to travel all over the US and visit national parks like the Grand Canyon, etc. And just being from England, seeing the mountains for the first time and real mountains in New Mexico or Colorado or etc. It was just incredible to me.
That's awesome. I actually want to go to England and see what it's like so I can put myself in your shoes and compare the two and contrast, because when you say mountains, do you guys not have mountains there, or what do you mean by that?
We have, mountains there are different from mountains here for sure. You guys would probably
Really?
think they were like big hills. We have there's a 3 peak challenge actually where there's a mountain in Wales called Mount Snowdon, and then there's one in England, one in Scotland, and people try and go through all 3 in the space of 24 hours. Like you climb up one at start at 5 a.m. Climb up one, climb down, drive to the next one because obviously they're quite close. They're in a couple of hours. Drive to the next one, climb up the one in England, go to Scotland, climb up the one there. But because we start at sea level, it's normally I've hiked Snowdon and it's like a steep 3-mile incline. So it technically counts as a real mountain, but it's completely different from the 10,000 feet plus we have here.
Okay. Do you like to hike?
I love hiking, yeah.
Yeah.
Love hiking.
Is that one of your favorite activities you would say you enjoy doing?
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay.
Ever since being in the US, just with the mountains being so close, just in Albuquerque anyway, just going for a hike whenever we can, just being out in nature.
Yeah, I like that. And I know you mentioned that you are a senior or a 5th-year senior like me.
Yeah.
What are your plans for after you're done here at UNM?
So I'm currently in my master's now. My plan is to finish my master's at home in England online and then try and play professional soccer back home in England for the second half of their season. Their season typically goes from September, October to May. So I could potentially, hopefully, fingers crossed, join the season from January to May and get my first professional contract out there.
That would be so awesome. I know we talked about this before, but how excited are you to finally kind of be graduated and going on to play pro at the next level? What is that like?
I'm so excited. It's been my dream since I was 8 or 9 and realized I could be a professional footballer and it wasn't just a male thing. And so I was already kind of training with a professional team before I moved out to the United States, but then chose to pursue a degree simultaneously and came here. And so to have grown so much in the last 4 years, developed as a person and player, and be able to get the chance to use everything I've learned to go home and play and try and get my first contract is so exciting.
That's awesome.
Paris, let me ask you, because, you guys call it football over there.
Yeah.
Are you good at FIFA?
Am I good at FIFA?
Are you good at FIFA?
My brothers are obsessed with FIFA.
Yeah.
I have a 10-year-old brother too who just got into it and plays all the time. And so growing up, my brothers were always obsessed with FIFA. And I wouldn't say I wasn't great at it, to be honest. Like, I didn't spend enough hours on the game to actually be good at the game. I like to think I could, like, play someone who also wasn't very good and try and beat them.
Yeah.
Like I played my little 10-year-old brother and beat him, and I was so proud of myself after he was playing all the time and I just jumped in a game. I think I'd rather spend the time playing actual football at the park as opposed to playing video games. So I'm not great, but I still like playing time to time.
That's the only way I feel like I could play soccer. It's just when I pick up the PS5 and I'm just playing FIFA, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting it right now. I'm doing long crosses and headers and all types of stuff. But
have you always played FIFA, the video game?
So here's the thing: back in when the World Cup was like 2012, maybe. Me and my older brother, he had a Xbox 360 at the time, and my parents weren't buying us video games, so we would try out all the demos and stuff. And so we played the World Cup FIFA, and I fell in love with FIFA from right then. But I never got it. I never bought it afterwards. And so I get up here to college, and you know what I'm saying, I'm playing my PlayStation, and I look in the little PlayStation store, and it's free, the full game. So I'm like, stop the cap. We about to download this right now. And it's honestly, oh my goodness. Like, I used to go ham on Madden. I go ham in FIFA now. Like, I'm playing, I think my career, he's like 9 seasons in. He's the #1 striker in the world. Like, I think I've scored almost 800 goals. Like I'm dead serious. Like, and I'm playing on world class mode. So it's not like no amateur or beginner or I'm playing.
You're just an expert FIFA player, apparently.
Yeah.
Has it made you appreciate soccer more or not really?
So I used to watch soccer. I didn't start watching soccer until I got to middle school, because that's what everybody, all the kids, they watch. They watch soccer. They watched Arsenal, Manchester. That's when Ronaldo was, super big, and Messi. And I'm like, hold on, guys, I don't know none of this stuff. Like I'm a football guy. So let me what are we talking about? Football, you know what I mean? So I'm like, let me catch up on what you guys are putting down. So, that's when I really started watching soccer. And like, there's been nights, especially during the World Cup, where I'm like, sorry, coach, last season, we're playing and I'm staying up until like 2 a.m., to catch the World Cup. Cause I'm like, I'm watching us go, you know what I'm saying? I'm watching the US, and man, we should have won this summer. But but man, I'm watching. But like that's how my appreciation for soccer. But it all started with FIFA.
That's super cool.
With FIFA.
That's really cool. So I know you plan on going pro in a couple of months, but what are your plans after? Do you plan to move to the US, or would you like to visit another country like Australia, move there?
You want me to come back, Skye?
I do. Yeah, I
do. So I actually don't know. It's honestly where life takes me. I want to go play pro in England because my whole dream since I was a kid is to make the England women's national team and make the World Cup and be a player that Skye can play on FIFA, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm going crazy. As Paris Dalton, I promise.
So obviously being in England will help my chances to kind of get recognized with the English national team is the goal. And then post-career, obviously I have a timeline on that. I can only play for probably the next 10 years. I honestly just want to try and help as many people as I can. I have my bachelor's in psychology, my master's in educational psychology, and thinking of get my doctorate in clinical psychology and becoming a psychologist and kind of going down that route.
Okay.
But I'm hoping throughout my career it will help me connect with other people and try and go down like a non-profit path or help children in poverty or mental health within sports or just mental health in general and use those domains.
Yeah. Well, Paris, I think you would be really great at that just because I see how much you do for the community here in Albuquerque. And I feel like that would just be perfect for you. And I'm excited to see what you do with that in the future.
Thank you.
Of course.
So you talk about going pro and playing in England. Have you ever considered playing in the NWSL?
I have for sure. I just think it's a hard process to do with getting drafted and so many teams and so many players in the United States in Division One, etc. That being English and being able to go back to England and knowing a lot of managers and players and clubs makes it a lot easier for me to kind of open doors and go through doors as I think it would as an international player here. I've known players that have gone back, or teammates from the England youth national teams, that went and played in England and then was really successful and then got recruited, I guess, to go play in NWSL too. So I think it might be easier, hypothetically, for me to go play in England and check my name out there and then go through that, as opposed to trying to get drafted, because there's so many players and so much competition.
Okay, well, shoot. As long as you in FIFA, I don't care if it says Dr. Paris Dalton. If you in FIFA, I'm getting sturdy. I promise.
So for the whole group, I have to ask, who are your guys' biggest role model and why?
After you, Skye.
Oh man, my biggest role model. I would probably have to say a combination of my grandfather and my dad. Just because as a black man in America, the stereotype is we don't have a lot of positive, father figures or even male figures in our lives. And so I've been blessed to have, I could go on and on about all the people in my life that have helped me and shaped me to who I am. But the biggest ones would probably be my grandfather and my dad, just because my grandfather, his birthday is right before mine. And so for as long as I can remember, it's always just been me aspiring to be like him. And every time that, he turns the candle and I, blow out my candles, it's like we're doing it together. So I've always felt a connection with him. And then my dad is just my dad, like that's all I'm gonna say. He's just been the guy that's always been, including my mom, but he's just been, one of my biggest supporters. And I always strive to be like him. He does, social media stuff. He has his own YouTube channel and things like that. And so, I just inspired to be like both of them. What about I'll throw it right back at you, Paris.
My mom is a single parent of 4 children. I have 3 brothers. So she's my hero through and through, has taught me how to persevere and work hard and support me through everything. And my grandma too was always there. I'm my biggest fan. So they're my role models. But to answer the question, like a sports domain, some of my biggest role models are Lewis Hamilton, Lucy Bronze, Jessica Ennis, and just prolific sports players in England that kind of set a standard. I think Jessica Ennis and Lewis Hamilton, especially because they're mixed race and people of color like me, and have shown me that there's no racial barrier in sports, and that you can go and be Olympians or F1 7-time champions and represent the country and kind of be a role model for younger athletes and younger people in general. And just that it's kind of like, if they can do it, maybe I can do it too. And so growing up, seeing them at the Olympics or competing on the track, I was always really inspired.
That's awesome. I love that.
What about you, Skye?
I would have to say both of my parents have been really good role models for me, just because they have been my biggest supporters with whatever I'm doing, mostly in soccer. Just always, if it's just like the smallest thing, always like coming to my games, watching me in my games, just being the biggest supporters. And I would have to say, especially for my dad, just growing up and watching him play at the highest level has been really cool to have that, just because I know not a lot of people have that. And so I always look up to him because he always pushes me to be my best.
Mhm.
And just, even though how old he is right now, he's still working out with me and my siblings on the track or in the weight room, always trying to be the best that he can be, try to one-up us. So I would have to say both of my parents for that question.
How old is your dad?
He couldn't be that old,
Yeah,
surely.
you called
You
him
really
old.
threw him under the
I
bus.
mean, in my family, we call my dad old, like straight up to the face, like, Dad, you old. But you just called out your dad. So how
I
old
did. His birthday was in September actually, and he just turned the big 50.
Oh, he's 50.
Yeah.
Happy late birthday, Pops.
Happy late birthday.
So this is for everyone again, but what is your favorite thing to do in Albuquerque, and what are you gonna miss? Because I know we're all seniors and we're all probably gonna leave here in a little bit, but I guess what are you gonna miss here? And yeah,
You answer that, Skye.
you want me to answer
Yeah.
that? Okay. So my favorite thing about Albuquerque, I think I really love how close UNM is. It's cool that we have such a cool community and how close we are together. And I love how the soccer program is always giving back to Albuquerque. I feel like I'm going to miss that, just giving back to the community. I think it's super special. And I just love doing that. Whenever we can give back to the community is just really awesome. And I just love that. And I know all the girls on our soccer team really enjoy doing that, especially Paris. I feel like she is always giving back to the community. And I'm going to miss the green chili too.
You've been converted.
Yes, I have. Paris, what about you?
I'm going to miss the people. Being here for 4 years, I've like created a whole new life for myself in Albuquerque or in the US, and have made so many friendships and connections that it feels like going back home and like leaving a whole life behind. And so as much as I love the clear blue skies and the no rain and the mountains and just being outdoors, people are like where it's at. Like how it's Albuquerque is my second home now because of the people here, and I'm gonna miss them dearly.
Yeah.
Paris. No, I think well, I still got a little bit of time left here, but I think the biggest thing that I'm gonna miss here is probably the same thing, is just the families and the connections that I've made. And honestly, one of the things I'm gonna miss is missing my family. You know, whenever that day comes that it's time for me to leave, and I'll probably go back home, and then I'll be surrounded by my family. But missing my family, that's another thing, because then it's like, okay, I want to call them and talk to them, and it's like feels like forever since you've seen them. And then when you're there in person, it's like, okay, can you go outside and go away from me for a little bit, because you get on my nerve. But it's just and all the family. But no, it's just like, I think those two things I'm gonna miss: all the family that I've made here. And I guess that's a positive thing, because maybe whenever that day comes and I go back home, now I'm gonna miss the families that I've built here in Albuquerque, and not necessarily the chili though, Skye. I'll leave you out there.
You don't like chili at all?
See, now Albuquerque's not gonna like me. No, I'm not a big chili guy.
Not
Red or
even on
green?
a burrito or anything like
Breakfast
that?
burrito.
I
Come on.
mean, I'll eat it. I'm not gonna be like, oh, green or red. Like, like yesterday we had green macaroni or green chili macaroni and cheese. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I've
and I
never
ate
had
it.
that before.
I
Is it
haven't
pretty
either.
good?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But-
That didn't seem so
I
convincing.
mean, it wasn't bad, but it was just like, like, I'm not gonna go out my way and ask for it like on my dish.
Yeah,
You know?
that makes sense.
Yeah, but I'm not hating on you, Albuquerque. I'm not.
I think breakfast burritos with green chili is so good.
Not
and
in the
I
morning,
don't.
Skye.
It is.
No, it's so good.
It is, because I don't
Paris,
know.
you too?
Yeah.
I don't know how I
No.
can go back to not eating green chili with burritos in the morning. Like
Without
eggs.
them, it actually feels kind of plain now.
What?
Like,
Yeah,
without the chili.
I agree.
Doesn't taste the
Put some tapatio on there. Come on.
It's not the same. It's not the same at all. Like, I really enjoy having green chili on a breakfast burrito in the morning, especially from Stripes.
Mhm.
They have some really good breakfast burritos, and you guys should go check those out if you haven't. With green chili.
Stripes.
Do you like red too?
I actually don't mind red, but if I am picking between one or the other, I'm gonna pick green chili.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm a green girl too.
Me too.
But
yeah.
red, I'm gonna put you on real quick, right?
Okay.
We went to James. I've always pronounced that wrong. And then they sell like fresh and like Indian tacos with green chili, and it's like to describe, it's like a giant like sopapilla, and it has like mince and onions and lettuce and red chili, and it's like a whole plate full, and it's so good. Like it's
Really?
made by Native Americans
Yeah.
from the
Mm.
Pueblos, and it's so good. I'm gonna put you on. So that red
Okay.
chili, fire.
Sai, you might have to go try that out.
Nope. I've made it through what 4 years now with that. I can go.
That's a shame.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
sad.
shame.
That's sad to
Come
hear.
on.
Look, if it's on the plate, I'm gonna eat it.
Okay.
I'm gonna eat it. But I'm not gonna go down the menu and be like, let me get a number 9 with the Indian tacos with the red green chili. I'm not gonna do it. It's not gonna happen. You won't find me doing that.
At least you got hot sauce, I guess.
Yep. Shout out Louisiana hot sauce.
Senior night is actually this Thursday. I guess, what does it feel like to be one of the oldest on the team? And how do you feel now that your time is finally coming to an end here at UNM?
I honestly, it's an honor being one of the lowest in the team, because you've watched so many people come before you and teach you so many things, and then it's finally kind of your time to step up and be a leader, either
Mhm.
on and off the field. And it's kind of, we have such a strong team culture that it kind of falls onto you to, and obviously the players below you, but to reach out to the freshmen and make sure they're okay and welcome them to the team,
Yeah.
and kind of take that role and just kind of help the team stay cohesive and the team first culture we have, and then to just enjoy your last few games here. It's like a
Yeah.
good balance of like being a leader and enjoying the opportunity to be a leader, and then just having fun and making the most out of your last games.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think also being a senior and our senior night is this Thursday, it's kind of sad, but also happy because it's kind of like it's the next step to your life now that I'm ending this chapter. And so I'm just kind of excited to see like what the future has in store for me and what I'm able to do after I'm done playing soccer. But I think being a leader and being a role model for the younger ones so that they can keep on carrying the traditions and giving it to the younger freshmen that are going to come next year is pretty awesome. And I think we have such a great culture on our team. So I'm excited to see and keep up with how our team does in the future.
It's crazy to think that the freshmen next year won't know who we are, though.
I know.
After so many years here, it's like you
Yeah.
just transition out and new people come in, and it
Yeah.
just keeps going.
Yep,
You guys are playing Colorado State on Thursday,
that is correct.
7:30.
Yes, you better be there.
Albuquerque, you get up and be there at 7:30 at the university. What do you guys even call your stadium? Just University
Soccer
Stadium.
stadium,
Yeah.
right behind the football field.
Shoot, come to the UNM facilities. Come to the UNM facilities 7:30.
It's gonna be a good
night.
game.
Be there at 7 if you want to see the seniors walk onto the
Okay,
field.
be
Yeah.
there at 6:45 to be early to be on time. Be there at 6:45. Albuquerque, we got to show up. Give these ladies the proper send off. Let me ask you guys: how do you find a sense of home while being so far away from home?
That's a good question. I think just adapting, creating those friendships, and always looking for the positives is how I'm able to find a sense of home being so far. It's really the people who you surround yourself with is really what makes the places that I've been to feel at home. So I'm very grateful for all the friendships and the people I've met along my journey. But yeah, and I don't know. I'm a sucker. I call my parents probably every single day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a 5th-year senior and I still call my parents just to check in with them,
Yeah.
see how they're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like the people who you surround yourself is very important. And that's what has helped me grow as a person and just always wanting to be in different cities or different states other than Phoenix.
Mm,
What about you, Paris?
I obviously being so far, I'm like just short of 5,000 miles away from home,
yeah, that's
and
crazy.
there's a 7-hour time difference, so
That's
it makes it harder to call home and keep in touch with people from home too, for
Yeah.
sure. Like, when people here kind of become your family and your people because you're kind of a little bit disconnected from your people back home. And so I try and call my mom like once or twice a week. I have to try and reach her at like lunchtime, my time, because that's 8 p.m. her time, so it's dinner time. So if I'm really busy in the
Oh.
morning, early afternoon, I probably won't be able to call her. So I try and call once or twice a week, check in with everyone back home. But in general, I think people I have a sense of belonging here because I've tried to invest in people, and as opposed to like staying by myself, the more I've talked to people and got to know new people and reached out and asked them questions about themselves or their family, etc. Then they do the same back, and you kind of create a sense of connection with them. And then through connecting with other people, you're obviously going to feel like you belong and you're valuable here and you're wanted here. And so, yeah, I say like investing in people and asking others questions as much as you can helps.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sai, what about you?
um, man, I actually have no idea, and I'm the one who asked the question.
Yeah, come on.
Man, I would say probably just the team aspect. You know, being around the same group of guys, they become your family, and you know, as you spend time with them and get to know each other, outside of football or outside your sport, you build relationships and real brotherhoods, and um, I just feel like that they become your family, and you're able to be vulnerable with them, and uh, them to you, and it's just great camaraderie, and like you build these fantastic relationships that aren't solely based off of, you know, whether you win or lose, but based off of, you know, the stories that you guys have, the journeys, the amount of blood and sweat that uh everybody goes through, you know, year in and year out. Is just, and then, you know, eventually you get to the point where you're able to, you know, tell each other that, you know, like, hey bro, like, you know what I'm saying, I love you, and you know, and them to you, because you guys' relationships aren't just, you know, based off of a sport.
Yeah,
And so I think that's one thing that just brings me back a little bit at home, because, you know, even though you may live in the house with your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister, like that's not the only reason, you know, why you love them. You love them because of, you know, the journeys that you've been through, the how you shape each other to be your best versions, and so yeah, there's just that um aspect in it too. But Paris, you are so well spoken.
She
I don't know
is.
about that, guys.
She
I don't
is.
No,
know.
it's ridiculous. Like just such an honor to just be sitting here and being able to pick your brain. You're part of a group here at UDM called Lobos for Change.
Damn, yeah.
I want you to educate the listeners and the audience about what Lobos for Change, what they do, and how UNM's helping create a more sense of unity and community here on campus and throughout the community.
For sure. So I am the president. It sounds like a fancy title, but kind of the leader of our UNM athletic group, Lobos to Change. It was created back in 2020 after the murder of George Floyd by a previous soccer player, Avani Osborne. And she worked with daughter at the time, and they created the group because they wanted the group for athletes to have a voice in the realm of race and ethnicity and just social justice. And then we've done we made kind of Lobos United t-shirts for all athletes to bring awareness to race and ethnicity. Um, and then we did a chalk event which said end racism and inequality, which was super cool.
Yep.
Um, which all athletes were invited to just write down in chalk in the pit parking lot, car park, um, any words or meaning for them around kind of race and ethnicity. And then since that, the group has transitioned to an overall group about social justice from the areas of race and ethnicity, gender inequality, LGBTQ rights, community service, mental health, and just kind of any way in which the group and athletes, any way for the athletes in the group to have a voice about anything they care about and want to raise awareness for. And so I've kind of took over that in the last 2 years or so, and we made mental health T-shirts and bag tags. We did a women's panel from inspiring women from the community, and have since other groups kind of within athletics have opened up too. So there's a hidden opponent group, which is specifically for athlete mental health, and there's an athlete ally group for LGBTQ athlete and awareness. And so Global for Change has since kind of transitioned into focusing on race, ethnicity, and gender and community service. And so we meet once or twice a month and plan events throughout the year, or videos or graphics that we could do throughout the year to try and raise awareness for social justice matters. We're currently doing a series on the SAC/Global Social Change Instagram, which is called the My Story Matters series, where we feature a athlete from UNM Athletics once a week. And they get the chance to talk about their story and how they got here and the challenges they've come through, just so we have a platform to share their story and share their experiences and have a voice.
That's awesome. I think it's important that people are educated on things that are going on in the world right now, just because I think it's super important. And I think that's awesome that you are the president and are just continuing on and just educating people through that. I think that's awesome. And I think, Sai, you've done the My Story Matters.
I've done I've been a part of the My Story Matters. I think in the spring.
Yeah, in the spring.
Yeah.
I think in the spring. But I think it's just so lovely to look at other and read other athletes that are a part of the same university as you, and how everybody's stories to get here at this point in their lives are so different. And what it takes for all of us to come together as a community, come together as UNM Lobos, to respect each other, to support each other, to uplift each other, to encourage each other. I think that's very important because, especially in the world now, you're not seeing that. And modern times can be so trying and so difficult, and the challenges that each individual faces is so vast, and nobody knows what the other person is going through. And so it's just important to, when you see representation for other people, and people that look like you and people that don't look like you, to be supportive of them, to just build together a knit tight family, and show the world, something positive.
For sure, yeah.
I think that's all something that everybody just wants to be, just to see a smile on everybody's face, to be happy, to, be positive. I want to ask you, how have you seen just the community landscape change since you've been here? The community outreach, the civil engagement, like, how has that changed since you've been here in 2020?
I mean, from a soccer point of view, I think the coaches have always prioritized trying to engage with the community as much as possible. And we've done things like a a soccer equipment drive for a local elementary school. And then we've been to elementary schools, and we have a free soccer clinic for the community too. And we try and engage the community as much as possible, because they are why we are who we are, and we're allowed to do the things we do. And without that support, we wouldn't be doing what we have. So I think engaging the community is so important. Has been a core value within the soccer team, within athletics, and it's been super cool seeing kind of the athletics community come together, especially within our Lobo groups, and have an opportunity to get to know each other and our stories, and kind of work together to raise a difference, and make a difference in the community and raise awareness for certain topics, and just the opportunity to get to know each other, and to connect with other sports. And through SAC, etc., we've been able to not only get help the community, but go to each other's sporting events and support each other on, and kind of make friendships and connections along the way.
I have to ask because we've done a lot of community service, giving back to the community. which one has been your favorite one to do out of all of them? I know mine is playing soccer with little kids, and there's such ballers out there. Like, there's just some kids that are just like,
They'll meg you.
yeah, that, scoring crazy goals. Their
Yeah.
celebrations at the end after they score the goals are the best thing ever. And it's so cool just to see them so happy to be able to play with us.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see everybody like play out there with them, give them high fives. And I don't know, that's just like one of my favorite things to do whenever we do one of those community service
So,
events.
yeah. We my favorite is when we organized a soccer equipment drive for East San Jose, and we went there and we donated some goals and balls and pennies and etc. And it was just the joy in these kids' faces, not only to interact with us and play with us, but to have their own equipment, which they couldn't otherwise get through funding, etc. And just to see how happy they were, not only just to be with us, but to have things of their own is one that will always stay with me. That they were so excited and just loved, so grateful, so incredibly grateful to have us there.
I love it. I love that.
These little kids are vicious, man. My little cousin, he's into soccer, and whenever I drive home, because he stays in Arizona, whenever I drive home and I spend the night, he'll be like, "Hey, Skye, let's go outside and let's play soccer." And he's just over here like megging me and like kicking the ball forward, and I'm like, "Okay, like I'm not gonna let you, outrun me." And like I'm a collegiate football player. You ain't got better stamina than me, you little 9-year-old. 10-year-old. I'm like, "Bro, what's wrong with you?" And he'll just kick the ball right through my legs, and I'm just like, "All right, man."
There's no mercy.
Yeah,
on
no
some
mer-
of these kids.
Yeah, all these kids, they're just vicious. Like,
Yeah.
Like they don't care. They
No.
don't care about your feelings, about your feet, And Paris, I just want to personally thank you before I throw it back over to Skye for coming and just sharing your brilliant mind with all of us. And you're such a unique person and special person, not only to the UNM women's soccer team, but UNM athletics as a whole. And I just want to give you your flowers before you take off. And well, I'm assuming you're going to get more flowers on Thursday.
Cool the game. What you receive the flowers.
Watch you receive the flowers. But no, thank you for coming on. It's been an exciting show, and I just thank you.
Of course. I'm so honored to be here. You guys are both incredible people. And honestly, I could talk to you guys for hours.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Well, thank you so much, Paris. It's been an honor to have you on our podcast. I'm so excited to see where your journey takes you in the future, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 3 of the Skye and Skye podcast. Stay tuned for next week's episode, which is going to be a little bit of a surprise. So you guys will see who that is next Wednesday.